Today, we're gonna talk about compressors. After this video, you'll be handling a bunch of compressors like a pro, even if it's your first time. I'll tell you why we all use it on recording and music production and mixing, and what those weird knobs are about. I'll be showing you examples to explain all you need to know about compressors for music production in very simple terms. Before we get started, here's another quick tip for improving your music production skill. We're Team Gamsung Sound, a K-pop producer group that has worked on numerous hit songs for like BTS, IU, Mamamoo, and other worldwide artists too. If you join our Discord, you can download many of our original DAW project and multi-files. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Compressor literally means compressing your sound. So what it means is, when we talk about the singer who is really good at expressing dramatically loud part and also very soft part in one song, we say such a great dynamic, right? Well, if you ever tried recording your own vocal, you would definitely know that too much variation in loudness can make your singing unstable and not exactly easy on your ears, right? So this is where compressor comes into play, smoothing out rough loudness to give you a nice even sound, So let's dive into a vocal sample I've got here. Normally, waveforms plays nice and stable within a certain level, right? But sometimes you got these spikes just pop out more than others, When these differences are too extreme, it can make sounds peak and clipping. Let's give it a listen, and then I'll apply a compressor to even things out,
And I need you like fire needs a flame. I'm waiting to hear you say my name.
Okay, you can feel some kind of spike here, and then this part is really, really loud than the other part, right? So I'll apply a compressor here.
Baby, I loved you more than words can say. Now I'm breaking, I'm waiting to hear you say my name.
Of course, there was too much compressor actually for the dramatic example, but you can feel a sound are more even, right? So mainly compressor makes the sound smoother and more balanced. So now let's break down the structure of a compressor. I've got a Logic Pro compressor here. This compressor comes with variety of knobs, more than other compressors. I'll guide you through the essentials you need to know, like input or threshold, ratio, makeup gain, and release, attack, output. Knowing just these basics will get you far enough to use any kind of compressors in the world. Okay, so heading back to Logic Pro compressor, input controls the volume of the source entering the compressors, and output represents the volume of the source after it's been compressed. And the meter here shows the gain reduction, which is the amount of how much it gets compressed. So as you play back, you will see the compression meter change in real time.
Baby,
right? It's almost like a minus 15 dB or minus 20 dBs or so. So that's pretty much a lot of compression actually. So during playback, you will notice when the sound is softer, there's just little compression, but it gets louder, compression increases. So if I play this softer part, the meter moves a little bit, but if I play a louder part, the meter moves a lot. The next one, threshold, is crucial here actually. It sets the volume level at which the compressor starts working. For example, setting the threshold at minus 40 dB means compressor kicks in only when the sound exceeds that level. If you set it to minus 5 or something, then only sound above minus 5 dB will be compressed. It's very important, especially for beginners, not to set the threshold too low, like what I just did. You might feel safe and sounds better when your vocal is over compressed, but overusing compressor across all levels can make your sound crumpled and distorted. So it is all about finding the sweet spot, okay? And then ratio, the other hand, refers to the degree of compression applied to the sound above the threshold. When you compress audio with compressor, you can't just do it randomly, because if you did that way, like randomly, the sound would become more uneven, no? So we compress in a certain ratio, like 2:1 or 3:1 or 4:1 or something, So simply saying the higher ratio, the heavier compression applied. I'll max out the ratio for you, okay? Like this.
And I need you like fire needs a flame.
This is too much compression. I've never done like this, but you can feel that, right? On the other hand, I'm gonna lower the ratio, and then I'm gonna set it more normal threshold level, like this or something.
Baby, I loved you more than words can say.
Yeah, much more natural. Okay, and then next up, attack. The attack didn't mind how quickly the compressor starts compressing after detecting a loud part, So literally it feels like, do we compress it immediately or wait a bit, So let's try a quick compression. Yeah, the attack is 0 millisecond. So it means like if we detect a loud part, we're gonna immediately compress it.
Baby, I loved you more than words can say.
Yeah, the meter immediately moves, right? Now, let's make it slower. Watch how slower the meter moves.
Baby, I loved loved you.
Right? And then I'm gonna make it dramatically slow, like this.
Baby,
You can feel it, right? Okay, then next, there is a release. For example, if there is a loud sound, the compressor doesn't keep it compressed forever. It allows the sound to return after the compression to its original volume until it needs to be compressed again, you know what I mean? So I've got here another compressor, Pro C2 from Fab Filter, which is my favorite. So basically, this compressor's structure is almost the same, like a threshold, ratio, and a tag, release. And of course, there's much more detailed knobs, but if you know the basic, this kind of part, then there is no problem for you to use this compressor, okay? So if you set a very fast and quick release, then the volume quickly returns.
more than words can say. Need you like fire needs a flame.
And if you set a very slow release, the compressed volume lasts so much longer. So let's go dramatic. I've never done like this, but
Baby, I loved you more than words can say.
okay, make it
Now
quicker.
I'm breaking, I'm waiting to hear you.
You can see it, right? You can see this part immediately just recovered, right? And then next, the makeup gain is very interesting. Let's say the input is -5 dB. After compression, its output is like -10 dB. Then this means overall output volume decreased because we've compressed the loudness to even volume out, you know? So to compensate this kind of like gain reduction, we need to adjust the level separately. Because if you don't have this kind of gain compensation function, then more compression applied, then you're of course getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So that's where makeup gain comes in. So Logic Compressor has this auto gain button here that automatically compensates for the gain reduction. So if you want to manually adjust makeup gain, then just turn off this auto gain, okay? And you can set the output level here however you like. So next up is something that often confuses people, the knee setting. So in simple terms, the knee determines how the compressor reacts when the sound exceeds the threshold. So it feels like should the compressor instantly be applied even if the sound is just over the threshold? Or since that could create a natural contrast between the louder part and quieter part, so should we introduce a bit of like middle area? So increasing the knee value results in more natural transition around the threshold, and decreasing the knee value leads to a more pronounced and aggressive compression effect. There are various forms of compressors. One very good example is our compressor from Waves plugin, which tend to have a simple layout compared to others. You can set a threshold here, and then ratio here, and then gain, and then a tag, release, you know. The layout is quite different, but the functions are very similar to other compressors, right? And another popular option is Pro C2. This one is from Fab Filter, which also focus on these 4 main knobs like this. Yeah, these controls are just fundamental across tons of different compressors. And let's dive into a bit more complex territory. So a lot of compressor plugins have their own unique tones and colorations, especially those modeled after analog hardware. These analog modeled compressors usually bring a distinctive color to your own sound. For example, in the various vocal chain project we've worked before, like IS Through the Night, or IUNG This Palette, or Giveaways Flex, you might see a bunch of compressors that replicate the looks and feel of vintage hardware units. Like LA2A offers very simple controls like a gain and peak reduction, with the function adjusting other parameters automatically to match up your sound. On the other hand, like 1176, this kind of type compressors allows for more in-depth control, including like attack and release, and then this kind of ratio here, input and output, you know, sort of providing more flexibility. So while basic compressors like Logic Pro Compressor or Pro C2 or something, these kind of compressors usually focus on a pure function of compression. But those modeled after analog hardware tend to add a bit more their characteristic tone or texture, you know. Today, we've discovered essential compressor knowledge, which is vital for composers and engineers or anyone involved in music production. So my advice for beginner is to first understand the key features and knobs, and then once you get comfortable with the compressor, try to listen for the subtle differences in sound each one brings. This will deepen your understanding of sound design and mixing. Next time, we'll dive into reverb, which is another indispensable tool in music production. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Bye!